Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Ramachandra, Jai Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha. Happy Krishna Janmashtami to everybody. Today's video is going to have a couple of verses from the Bhagavad Gita, a nectarian scripture bestowed upon us by the Supreme Lord himself. Lord Shri Krishna sung this on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when Arjuna was in total doubt and confusion. Vepathushcha sharire me romaharshascha jayate gandivam sramsate hasta tvakchaiva paridahyate. Arjuna was in total confusion. His body was shaking. He was utterly confused about this world and his role in this world and what he should do next. And that's what most of us are facing these days. And Bhagavad Gita is basically something that we all should turn to in times of confusion, and in fact every single day. When we get up in the morning, we must read a verse of the Bhagavad Gita. When we sleep, we must read. Why? Because it's the only thing that we ever need to know. Gita sugita kartavya kimanyai shastra vistaraihi yasvayam padmanabhasya mukha padmad vinisrita. Which other text do we need to study? Gita has everything that man or woman or even a child needs to study in his lifetime. Gita has every single thing. The Bhagavad Gita has encompassed our role in this universe, our goals as a human being, and what we should do, what we should not do, and what should be our bhava in mind when we are supposed to do something. It's something that we all need to follow, something that we all are lacking in one way or the other, and something which we all need to bring back into our lives. So in today's verse, apologies if you're hearing some background noise. I'm in a place where there's a lot of noise around. So today's verses are going to be from both the 16th chapter and the 2nd chapter. So, as we know, and most of you would know, according to Sanatana Dharma, the eternal aspect of all human beings, Sanatana Dharma is the eternal Dharma, that which does not change. Which means that we, the true self, that is the Atma, never changes. Najayate mriyate va kadachim nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha nahanyate hanyamani sharire. It is very clearly mentioned by Lord Shri Krishna that we are eternal, that this, the self, is eternal. And everything else that is changing is not the self. Everything else that is changing is not the truth. And the only truth, the only eternal one is the self. And hence, we all must understand the true self. It is eternal. And hence, we should not run after things that are temporary. Although our brains and our neurochemistry, our bodies and our minds, they crave for that which is temporary, because that is all we know. Once we understand collectively, or even a single person, once a single person understands who he or she is, when they bypass all discrimination in terms of the body, like the gender, the societal role and everything, and when you just understand who you are, the amount of energy that one experiences is basically limitless. And understanding that is the goal of the Bhagavad Gita. Understanding the true position of a living entity is the goal of the Bhagavad Gita. For this, we have to be serving the Supreme Lord. For this, we have to have immense devotion, immense faith to understand who we are. We are parts of that one Supreme. So, undoubtedly, we must try to endeavor and understand that is the sole purpose of human life here. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna has made this very clear a number of times. And for this, we have to follow a particular process of life. There is a way which each human must follow. And today's video is very brief, very simple. And I would recommend that every one of you studies the Bhagavad Gita from end to end, so that we get a more wide picture of who we are and who the Lord is, and what is love, what is faith, what is devotion, and how it can take us far from misery, etc. So, what is the actual method of life which we must live? The 16th chapter is a wonderful gateway to the world of Bhagavad Gita, and I would recommend that anyone starting with Bhagavad Gita reads one of these chapters. The 12th chapter is very important as a Bhakti Yoga, and reading it from beginning to end is also a wonderful idea. The 2nd chapter, especially the second half of the 2nd chapter, is also amazing in terms of the philosophical power, but anyone starting the Bhagavad Gita should read it from beginning to end. Today's video will have just a few verses. Abhayam sattva samshuddhihi jnana yoga vyavasthitihi danam damascha yajnascha swadhyayastapa arjavam ahimsa satyam akrodha tyagas shantirapayishunam daya bhuteshvalortvam madhavam veerachapalam tejah kshama dhritish madroho natimanta bhavanti sampadam dairim atija tasya bharata. Lord Shri Krishna mentions the qualities of a divine person, a person who has more divinity in him, Of course, we cannot claim 100% divinity. We all have our own faults, our own human errors, and we are constantly bombarded by kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, matsarya, or excessive desire, excessive greed, anger, and all of this. It comes to us throughout the day. And sometimes we are attacked by anger and we speak harsh to those around us and it hurts others. That is very negative. Sometimes we get greedy behind things that are impermanent and that have been described by Lord Sri Krishna very clearly, that these are not the things that a sage must run behind. So we all must try to elevate ourselves constantly. How do we elevate ourselves? By gradually cultivating these qualities mentioned as divine by Lord Sri Krishna. That is Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhi. Actually speaking, these qualities are ingrained at the time, when one is born, or even before, when a child is conceived itself. These qualities begin to, play a significant role in the life of the child, and they are already present. So we all have these negatives and positives within us, and that's where astrology also comes in. Certain individuals are born with a higher level of some negative quantities because of their previous birth karmas, and they need to cleanse themselves. And there are some people who have practiced a lot of yoga in their previous births, yoga in the sense bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, and they are waiting to come to the point of self-realization. They are advanced already, but they're not realizing it in the present birth, again because of some previous birth karma. They need to also cultivate this, and they need to again read the Bhagavad Gita and wake up and begin again from the point where they left behind. That is a speciality of spiritual service. In case we have faltered here and there somewhere, we can begin. The moment we realize that we have faltered, and the moment we want to make an attempt to come back to our position with a bit of effort, we can actually get back to our original position. That is the beauty of spiritual exercise. And that is what Lord Sri Krishna has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So the good qualities to be cultivated are fearlessness and strengthening of one's sattva, or one's body, one's mind, one's psyche. There is no exact English translation for sattva, but that's something that we need to cultivate and energize gradually. So abhayam sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vyavasthitihi, which means that we should put our mind and our entire being into jnana yoga, which is understanding exactly what Lord Sri Krishna has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. That is jnana yoga, cultivating jnana. So the Lord has himself mentioned this in the Gita, that we must gradually keep learning. Bhakti and jnana must go together, and we should always try to understand the scriptures and read from people and listen to great people, especially maharshis, yogis, and real sadhus who can explain the truths to us directly from the scriptures. So we must all set aside a time in a day wherein we can listen to some sacred texts and some explanations of sacred texts by people who have come in a parampara. For example, say some upanyasas or some discourses in different scriptures. So that is jnana yoga vyavasthiti. That is the cultivation of jnana and positioning in jnana. Jnana yoga vyavasthiti. Danam damascha yajnascha swadhyayastapa arjavam, which is giving out whatever whatever is excess, whatever you would like to give to the right person at the right time in the right place. That is called real charity. One should give at the right time in the right place to the right person, and that is dhanam. Damaha, which is self-control, controlling oneself from activities that can be harmful for oneself, or activities that are unnecessary and basically plain pleasure-seeking. Trying to prevent oneself from going on that path is actually a very big achievement and is the first step in the path to real yoga. Jnana yoga vyavasthitihi dhanam damascha yajnascha. Yajna is sacrifice. Sacrificing ego is the biggest yajna, but there are several stages to this. Even a small yajna like a fire sacrifice is actually a process. A simple fire sacrifice is actually a process to the ultimate, letting go of one's ego, which we all are basically, beginners in. We just need to start and keep trying to do this, because ego is something that makes us stop progressing in every single aspect, be it material or be it spiritual. Ego is something that stops us everywhere. So that's something we must try to avoid, although it does affect us throughout the day, every single day. And these are some qualities which we need to develop. Ahimsa, non-violence, is the foremost of these qualities. Avoidance of violence is very important. Violence in every way, manasika, daihika, and even speech or vachas. We should not give anyone trouble or anyone pain through any of these three channels: our body, our mind, and our speech. Of course, speech is also part of the body, but yes, we should not give any harm to anybody in these three ways, including animals, including human beings. Harm should not be done just for the sake of sense gratification. That is the worst form of harming any living being. And a lot of people are doing it today. And I would recommend everybody to please follow the path of ahimsa, and that is the central pillar of beginning to progress spiritually. So ahimsa, satyam, truthfulness is also very important. Akrodha, that is not being angry, trying to reduce the anger. Of course, anger keeps attacking us. It's like an enemy. It's like a shatru. We must defend and we must make sure that we are positioned. It is very tough, but we need to try it. Akrodha, Tyaga Shantirapayishanam, Daya Bhuteshwaloluptvam, Mardavam, Dhirachapanam, and so on the qualities go, and they are very beautiful qualities. I would recommend that viewers read them, but in the interest of time, I'll not go into each one of these qualities. I've already mentioned them in my previous videos and live streams, so I would recommend you please take a look at them. But these are some qualities which we need to cultivate, and there are some which we need to avoid. Etam drishtimavashtabhya, nashtatmanolpabuddhayah. There are some people, however, who have a very limited capacity of understanding. Because of their previous karmas and their present dispositions, they cause the entire world torment. They trouble everybody because of their false ideologies that this world is basically something that they can exploit, and their only goal in life is chintam aparimeyam cha pralayantam upashrita. They're always anxious. They're always associating themselves with the body and mind. These people are known as the Rakshasa Buddhi, the Asura Buddhi, which has been described in the Bhagavad Gita very eloquently. People who have no other idea of life other than satisfying some of the impermanent urges of the body and that of the mind, satisfying their own egos. These people will find it very difficult to ascend spiritually, but it's possible for them. If we feel somewhere, yes, Asura qualities do attack us every single day, but we need to identify when they are attacking us and immediately defend ourselves and understand that it is not the self which is engaging in it, but it is an attack from external elements which attack our mind, and that is something we need to defend. So one shouldn't be very anxious. One should be carefree, because after all, we are not the ones performing activities. The Karta is the Supreme. And just if we follow what is there in the Bhagavad Gita, where is the necessity to be anxious? Where is the necessity to be afraid? Everything is handled by him, right? So that is some bhava that we should keep in mind. Relinquishing excessive controllership and becoming carefree, calm and peaceful while following one's own dharma. It's not that we leave everything behind. That's what Lord Krishna makes it very clear. Because some people misunderstanding the teachings and say that it's time to just let go of the world, and that is where we need to be very careful. We should follow our own dharma as per the scriptures, in a way that will not harm anybody around us. At the same time, if our dharma requires protection of a particular person or whatever it is, for example, a policeman cannot perform ahimsa entirely. For him, ahimsa is also the protection of another individual. So ahimsa is very broad. It also, if ahimsa involves dharmic himsa, then that is also ahimsa, actually speaking. And hence one should be very careful while trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita. I would recommend studying the entire scripture. Let's spread love and let's be better human beings every day, and let's use the Bhagavad Gita to achieve this goal. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Ramachandra, Jai Shri Lakshmi Narasimha.